themselves and quite demonstrably changing the way people perceive self in the world, that this control system is at its peak in trying to suppress humanity, control humanity. It's absolutely in sync because this moon matrix can only influence human perception if humans stay within its vibrational frequency, within its hack. The truth vibrations are taking us out of that frequency range, and therefore it's losing its influence on awakening people by the day as we start to perceive and see and become aware of things that we weren't before when we were connected to the hack. And all these things, destabilizing us chemically through food and drink, rewiring the body genetically through genetically modified food, what they're doing to the kids, the drugs, mobile phones and all this microwave soup that we now live in, microchips especially, they're all designed to externally suppress or internally suppress, in terms of food, etc., the human body computer to stop it accessing these truth vibrations. It seems to be, on the face of it, that they're trying to grab more and more control. The truth is, it is a desperate, desperate attempt to hold on to the control they've had thus far. That's what it's about. It's battening down the hatches to stop the control system coming down. In part because it has many expressions, including creating earthquakes and dramatic extremes of weather. This technology known as HAARP in Alaska, and it's now got other organizations connected to it and technology connected to it increasingly around the world, it bounces radio waves off the ionosphere, the highest part of the atmosphere, and back to Earth. And what it is in major part is a underpinning, a supporting role to this moon matrix to create a low vibrational atmosphere in the lower atmosphere where we live in and operate in like this. Again, it's targeting this morphic field, as the Satanists call it, and some others do too, to keep it in a low vibrational state. It's fighting the truth vibrations. They know what they're doing, on one level anyway. And one of the other things that HAARP can do, and it's in the patents of the technology, it can send out radio waves carrying information, thoughts, on the wavelength of human brain waves, and it can impose those thoughts on the brain, which we then manifest through as our own thinking. That's also part of this, and it's also part of this defense mechanism against this epoch change. And if they change and affect this energy field we live in, we will be affected by it if we stay in density and closed mind state. I'm absolutely convinced, have been for years, that part of the creation of this like sub-reality underpinning, supporting the moon matrix, which was okay up to this point, didn't need anything else. But now this energetic change is taking place. They're bringing the troops in, if you like, to underpin it. And I'm convinced that part of the chemtrails, which kind of pollute our skies and stuff and contain metals and barium and aluminium and all this stuff, is part of creating this sub-reality. What the truth vibrations are doing is healing this schism. It's part of what it's doing. And the schism has been this distortion in the metaphysical universe, the waveform information construct, has been playing out into the holographic play-out world for, what would you call it? Eons, for as long as we can remember. And it has manifested itself out as conflict and fractured personalities and all the rest of it. This is being healed all the time as these truth vibrations impact themselves and we move into this new epoch. And those that are tuning into it, it's healing these divisions. And when this changes, this must change. And the control system is a play-out, holographic expression of the schism. So when the schism heals, as it's going to, this distortion, its outward holographic expression, the control system, must fall. That's why it's doomed. It cannot survive this energetic change because it is a manifestation of the distortion that is now being healed. The pieces are being put back in that have been taken out. A totally new era is in the process of moving into human experience, and this control system, it's doomed, and all its expressions are doomed. Not doomed like, let's have a mass bloody murder, mass killing, all the rest of it. Doomed in this reality because they're connected to something that's disappearing. There'll still be infinite consciousness, even those in the control system. They'll remember who they are eventually. It might take some time, and we'll be having a beer with them one day thinking, do you remember when you were stupid? Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh God, mate, yeah. Oh, that's what we'll be doing at some point. And so this epoch change is moving from a sense of division, left brain, where it sees everything as apart from everything else, sees everything in terms of structure and apartness. We're moving from that perception as this energetic construct changes to a perception of what comes from expanded consciousness and awareness, which is we're all one. We're all expressions of the same one consciousness, which again makes racism ridiculous, ludicrous, insane, the height of ignorance. And as the schism, the distortion is healed, so other expressions of the distortion will become what we call history. The police state, the energetic wars. Once we're really in to this expanded awareness, the very idea of going to war. We have laws because of the distortion, because of the epoch we've been going through. We don't need laws in the state of awareness that we're going into, and our children and grandchildren will go even more into. You don't need to say we have a law against murder when murdering someone would never even enter your psyche. You don't need environmental protection laws when harming the planet because you know the planet and you are one anyway would never occur to you. You don't need these things. Laws are there to suppress overwhelmingly, but also expressions of laws are to try to mitigate for the distortion that manifests itself in distorted behavior. The idea of anyone going hungry in a world of plenty in the epoch we're entering, we'll never even conceive it. You mean they used to let people starve? That's this mentality that we're moving out of, and we're at the cusp now of this change, which is a very interesting place to be. We're going back to that. We're going back to being connected to what we really are. And of course 2012 is much talked about and will be more talked about as we get closer to it. I have a different view on that. I should be saying, given I've been writing about these truth vibrations for 20 years, I should be saying, see, 2012 told you, yeah. No, I'm not saying that actually. I think 2012 is a diversion. By 2012, yes, things will have moved on. Things will be changing. Amazing things will be taking place. There'll be big challenges, and there'll also be big, wonderful things starting to manifest by 2012 compared with now. But there'll be more so in 2013, more so in 2014, more so in 2015. This is an ongoing process as we move through the cusp out of one era, epoch, energetically, information, into another one. And so by the time it reaches where it's the natural state and the old epoch has gone altogether, it's going to be down the road. But every year, every month, things are going to be moving on energetically. And there'll be things in 2012, and maybe a very good chance that manufactured things will happen in 2012 to focus attention as part of the diversion of the control system. It's quite possible that will happen. But I don't see 2012 as some epoch-changing year. But there comes a point, and I don't think it's too far away at all, where the tipping point comes in this energetic change where the irresistible force, which is the truth vibrations, then start to become the dominating state of awareness and perception in this reality. And then we're really moving. And I don't see that as too far away. Like I say, it takes a long time for a dam to crack, but not from then to it collapsing. So we're actually living in like a river of energy that's getting faster and faster in terms of its vibration, the quickening. And what we can do is we can get on the airbed or the canoe and we can go, whoa, what a ride, this is great, that's fantastic. Or we can stand there and try to hold on to the world as it was, in which case we're going to be expending more and more energy trying to hold our status quo, and eventually we won't be able to hold it, and we'll get, symbolically anyway, washed away. And as these truth vibrations manifest themselves and our awareness starts to expand, we're going to be accessing levels of realities that have been denied us up to this point. People talk about the sixth sense. That's nothing compared with what people are going to have as we move into this new era. It's going to be extraordinary. We're going to remember the fantastic people that, and potential that humans once were, when they were aware of who they were, and the world in our heads, in other words, the world we experience, is going to dramatically change. We're heading for a new dawn. Now, this is a phrase the control system uses for their new era, a new dawn, a new day. Well, it is a new dawn and a new day, but ain't the one they think's coming. We've been through this process in the last epoch, and now we're going back the other way. And as a result, this control system must fall, and we are emerging from the abyss, the suppression, and all the rest of it to be who we really are. And that must change everything. Einstein said you cannot solve problems with the same level of consciousness that created them. That is very good news, because what we've been doing through this epoch is creating problems with a certain level of consciousness, mind, and then bringing people in to solve the problems with mind and creating more problems. Now we're in this change where we're expanding consciousness, expanding awareness, and suddenly that cycle of problem and more problem, and it's unsolvable. There's no way out of this. Suddenly it's a piece of cake. Look, it's so simple. Fantastic time we're going into. But the next few years are going to be challenging. It's breaking the spell that the moon matrix and its supporting technologies and manipulations has had on the human mind. You know, we don't have to find enlightenment. We are enlightened. What we need to do is remove the barriers of belief and perception that we've thrown around ourselves that keep us from that enlightenment. That enlightenment's never gone away. It's over here. It's saying, I'm over here. I'm over here. And this is what a major role the truth vibrations are doing, because they're the quickening. They're breaking up these dense energy fields, and as they do, suddenly we're connecting with levels of awareness that we didn't realize. We've been in a trance all this time, programming perception because of that. And it connects through the reptilian brain. So let's disconnect from the reptilian brain as part of breaking the spell. It feeds us fear. It has to, constantly. Fear this, fear that. Insecurity, anxiety. That's what it's doing to manipulate our perception and hold us in a low vibrational state, therefore the moon matrix. So one of the ways that we can, just on a daily basis, is disconnect from the lizard brain, and therefore what it's connecting us to, is to, simple thing, don't count to 10, count to 50. And if you're still wound up and about to hit somebody, count another 50. Because what the reptilian brain does is it doesn't think, it reacts. That's why it's so fast. It doesn't have to think, just reacts. Now, the other parts of the brain, like the neocortex, they think things through, so it takes longer than the reptilian brain. This is why we react to something, reptilian brain, and then maybe a minute later, 2 minutes later, maybe half an hour later, the visual cortex has thought this through, and we go, oh my God, I overreacted, didn't I? Did I really say that? Oh my God. That's what, it's the reaction system, reaction. And if we can stop reacting, emotional reaction and all that stuff, because, you know, we're manipulated so much through the reptilian brain reaction system. It's not problem, think it through, do a bit of research, see what you think, discuss it a bit, solution. It's problem, reaction, solution. That whole process of mass manipulation is done through here. So when we're faced with a situation, and I'm talking to myself as much as anybody here, you know, I'm not cross-legged on a mountain saying, hey, here I am. No, talking to myself as much as anyone else.